GeForce Now's 3080 tier is something I can only describe as the future of gaming made accessible today. It's seriously that good. I'm here to give you my first-hand impressions after spending some time with GFN's latest offering, and I can't wait to share the experience. But before I do, I just want to give my thanks to Nvidia for allowing me to go hands-on and share my thoughts and impressions of it with all of you. With that out of the way, let's get to this, and let me begin by just saying that without a shadow of a doubt, this is the best gameplay experience you can have on any cloud gaming platform or service today. Nothing comes close in terms of latency. This legitimately felt like I was playing on my local PC full stop, and it amazed me. The gameplay you're currently seeing in the background is Splitgate, a competitive multiplayer shooter inspired by Halo and Portal. Normally I would never play this sort of game on the cloud. I'm pretty big into multiplayer competitive titles, and I'd go as far to say it's my preferred style of game to play. And while I've always considered cloud gaming a great substitute for single player or cooperative experiences, it's never been good enough for me personally to make it the main way I do my multiplayer gaming. Far too often I felt like it was hard to make micro adjustments to your aim or perform quick flick shots at a moment's notice. This new tier flips that narrative around, so much so that I actually believe I can make the argument that I might play better on GeForce Now over my local PC due to the 3080 being more capable at running games at a consistently higher frame rate than my RTX 2070. I know that might sound crazy to some of you, and believe me, I get it, but based on my experience, it's entirely true. The power behind this new 3080 tier is absolutely no joke. I've tried it with a variety of titles, plenty of them being new releases with ray tracing, and set them all to Ultra at 1440p running off the official GeForce Now app on my PC. None of which struggled to provide nothing short of an extraordinary gameplay experience. I'm talking about games like Cyberpunk 2077, Metro Exodus, Riders Republic, Crysis 3 Remastered, and much more. I also tried plenty of popular competitive games like the previously shown Splitgate, Fortnite, and Apex Legends, all of which easily pushed out 120 frames per second without any struggle. The only title I ran into that couldn't maintain at least a solid 60 FPS running on ultra settings was Watch Dogs Legion, as it would sometimes dip into the low 50s, but once again that's on ultra with every setting cranked up to max. And in that case, it included ray-traced reflections in a huge open world. This was easily fixed by lowering a few settings down one notch from ultra to very high. And since we're on the topic of settings, it's also worth noting that 3080 tier users do get the added benefit of being able to save their in-game graphic settings from play session to play session. That means no longer do you have to dive right into the settings as soon as you get into a game to get it to play exactly how you like it to play. Though, if you do prefer Nvidia's recommended settings, you can turn this off so you get them each time you launch a game. That's not the only convenience factor that comes with the new tier either, and this next one's a pretty big deal for me personally. The fact that you know you are going to get a 3080 rig every single time you play regardless of what game you're playing is major. I know I'm far from the only one who sometimes relaunched a game once or twice to get a better GPU and CPU combo as a priority member. No longer having to deal with that song and dance anymore really is a time saver, and it just helps you get into what you want to faster and more directly. But now let's talk about visual clarity. As I mentioned earlier, streaming on a PC can now support up to 1440p on the new tier or 1600p if you're on a compatible Mac. This is a good and notable improvement as games look much sharper if you're on a monitor that can support the resolution. I personally would still love to see 4K streaming come to PC, as I know it is supported on the Shield TV with this new tier, which by the way I will be covering and talking about in a separate video, so be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell not to miss out. But regardless, the bump from 1080p is extremely welcome, and it was certainly one of my biggest complaints about GeForce Now. It always felt weird to me to have all that extra horsepower behind these rigs but be limited to a lower resolution. Thankfully, that's no longer the case. So what's bad about this new tier? Honestly, not a whole lot, and all of my big complaints have more to do with GeForce Now as a whole, such as having to deal with two-factor authentication every time I play a title from Ubisoft Connect and other issues like it. In my eyes, GeForce Now's greatest weakness to this day has always been the user experience in terms of getting into a game and then enjoying it the way you want to. Some of those issues have been resolved with this tier. As I previously mentioned, you no longer need to adjust settings each time you launch or hope for solid RNG to get into your preferred rig. I really do hope that Nvidia finds a way to make the whole click-to-play concept much more intuitive on GeForce Now, but I do get that it must be a bit more complicated due to the nature of how these games are accessed from various storefronts. That's really my only complaint here, and like I said, it has very little to do with the new tier rather than just how GeForce Now works. I think at this point you all get the picture. GeForce Now's 3080 tier is an upgrade across the board, be it in terms of latency, visuals, and convenience. It's exactly what I wanted out of the announcement, and I'm more than happy to say Nvidia delivered big time. With that said, should everyone go out and get this new 3080 tier for their cloud gaming? My answer would be no. The tier itself feels like it was designed for those who want the best experience in terms of graphic settings, frame rate, and latency with as little compromise as possible, but it does come at a premium price point. $99 for 6 months may be a hard pill to swallow for some users out there. Not to mention, not everyone needs this level of performance or has the gear to take full advantage of it. If you have a 1080p 60Hz display, you're probably better off just sticking with the priority membership. That's not to say that you wouldn't get a performance gain from the new tier, but a lot of the new things just wouldn't be accessible to you, and then you have to judge whether or not that performance gain alone is worth the cost. I also have no doubt that some users are probably more than happy with their current level of performance of whatever they're using, and that's great. But if you do find yourself being one of those people who absolutely needs the best of the best, this is it. Nothing provides this level of experience and customization to your game to make it play exactly how you want to play at this price point, and it's as simple as that. When it comes to cost, it is also worth pointing out that while $99 every 6 months may sound like a lot, when you break it down, it's a pretty damn solid deal. You're getting top of the line hardware here. A 3080 GPU alone would run you a clean $1,000 plus if you can even manage to find one. Let's also not forget, depending on where you live, a good portion of the $17 a month this works out to would be spent on your electricity bill just to power a gaming PC like it. You know who I think is set to benefit most from this subscription though? Anyone out there who's thinking about getting one of the new consoles. Believe me, I own both the PS5 and Series X, and this 3080 tier really puts them to shame. It seriously outperforms both of them hands down on any game, both in the visual and gameplay department. It's genuinely not even close, and with those consoles being as hard to find as a new GPU, well, this makes a fantastic alternative well worth looking into. So to wrap it up, I just want to say that GeForce Now's 3080 tier is a game changer for me. I think it's more than well deserving of the title of next generation cloud gaming, and at its best, it kinda feels like magic. I still can't wrap my head around how low the latency is. I can already tell you that it's going to change the way I do my gaming, now more than ever before, as I no longer see myself relying on my local PC to do my multiplayer gaming unless the game doesn't happen to be on GeForce Now. And now that I'm really thinking about it, I would have to say that's my biggest gripe with the whole thing. I wish I could play every game on GeForce Now at this point in time. The new 3080 tier just outshines and outperforms both of my consoles and my gaming PC. This is pushing cloud gaming forward a ton, and I seriously can't wait to see what else lies ahead when this type of experience is already what we're getting this early on in the grand scheme of things in the cloud gaming medium. Either way, that wraps up my thoughts. If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful at all, consider hitting that like button as it really does help the channel out, and if you're wanting more content like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell as well. As per usual with these type of videos, if you have any questions about the 3080 tier itself, feel free to leave it down in the comment section below and I'll answer what I can. As always, this has been the Virtual Cloud, giving you the latest and greatest on everything cloud gaming and VR related, and until next time, I'll catch you in the clouds.